filling it up, you can just flip it over, just so I have a visual of who is still working on it. That would be great, and you can quietly draw on the back or just hang out while everyone else is finishing. This week I'm really past. Oh, last week I don't see since I was like a little kid. There's like talking a lot. Like I could feel the night out. That's why feeling just losing my voice. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're usually pretty good It looks like, is anyone still working? Looks like everyone's done. Okay. Like I said, the goal today is just help us recognize some signs and symptoms to look out for when it comes to this topic, and then identify what you would do if you ever found yourself in a situation that felt concerning. I'll say this a couple times throughout the presentation too. This is obviously a very heavy topic. I'm aware of the fact that it can be really challenging to talk about and to listen to, so if at any point during the presentation it just feels like a little overwhelming, please take a minute and step outside. The whole point of talking about this is that we're taking care of ourselves, so if it feels like it's too much, please take care of yourself and take a minute. Especially the video can be kind of tough to watch and listen to all this kind of material, so please take care of yourselves if you do need a minute. And on that same note, please be sensitive to those around you. could be something you feel like doesn't really affect you, but it could affect someone in this room. So just be aware of that as we work through this tough topic today. The first slide that I'm gonna put up has some facts about youth suicide. Some of these numbers can be kind of frighteningly large to look at. They're pretty big statistics. The reason, again, that we're talking about this today is to bring awareness to this, and especially for anyone that does struggle in any way, it's really, really helpful. We're hoping it's really helpful to recognize how common this is so that someone doesn't feel alone. Because oftentimes, people that do struggle with this stuff and anyone that has thoughts of suicide, we hear a lot people say, nobody understands how I'm feeling. There's no reason to talk to anyone about this because this is something I'm going through alone. Nobody gets it. But obviously the numbers are telling us that a lot of people struggle. So hopefully we can, again, educate ourselves and look out for each other. Each year in the United States, approximately 5,723 youths, which is ages 15 to 24, die by suicide. This means that each day, approximately 16 youth suicides occur. And then based on these facts, it's estimated that as many as 100 to 200 suicide attempts are made, each one that's actually completed and followed through. So for many teens, and I always switch this to for all teens, these can be really challenging emotional times. Whether you guys are aware of it or not, or to whatever degree it might be affecting each and every one of you individually, it's inevitable that at this stage in your life, everybody struggles because there are so many different things that you're trying to balance, so many different changes going on. So internally, there's hormonal changes, right, which absolutely can throw you off balance, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And then there's all the external changes and the stresses that you're trying to balance. So there's social changes and peer pressure. There's academic pressure. For anyone that's experiencing any sort of changes at home, that can really bring some ups and downs into your everyday well-being. And then anyone that's on any form of social media, that absolutely adds an extra layer of pressure into people's lives, into adults' lives too. But for young adults, we've seen a rise in cases of depression, anxiety, and suicide rates since the introduction of social media. That is not to say that it's the cause of anybody going through what they go through. It's just to say that it can be a really tough place to navigate for anyone. Like I said, it's tough for adults too, and young adult, but specifically people that do struggle with any sort of mental health issues, it can be really tough to be on some of those platforms. So all of this to just say, being your age is really hard, right? There's a lot of stuff to juggle. There's all the stuff going on inside, and then all of your extracurricular activities, academics, and social life. It can be kind of overwhelming. So today when we're talking about somebody that struggles with depression or thoughts of suicide, adding that into the mix of all of the stuff that's already going on can be pretty unbearable and can be really hard for a young adult to deal with. So I really can't emphasize enough the importance of just showing respect for each other, being respectful of your peers. I'm going to skip through some of these. Show respect for people means accepting their differences, treating them the way that you would like to be treated. So it's very simple. But it's really, really, really important, again, to come back to this. And just being aware of the fact that you go to school with a lot of different kids, right? You're in different classrooms with people all day. You don't necessarily know what each individual might struggle with. What they might struggle with socially, what they might struggle with academically, what their home lives look like. These are things that really, really affect somebody. So doing your best as individuals to just steer clear of any sort of bullying situations, disrespecting situations is really important always, but especially today when we're talking about someone that struggles. Because if someone struggling finds themselves in that kind of situation, it can really have a serious consequence. So just doing your best to steer clear of those situations is very important. Being bullied, like I said, has serious emotional consequences. Victims of bullying are 3 times more likely to become depressed. They are 9 times more likely to have thoughts of suicide, and they are frankly more likely to attempt suicide than non-victims. And the thing about today, like I'm gonna show a video, we're gonna talk through different examples of signs and symptoms to look out for when it comes to this topic. But it also comes down to the fact that sometimes we can't tell if someone's struggling, right? I couldn't look around this room and just look at you from the outside and say, oh, this person's suicidal or this person's depressed by looking at you, right? There's nothing that necessarily might show me that physically on the outside of your body. So again, we're going to do our best to recognize signs and symptoms, but sometimes you don't know if someone's struggling. So it's really important to not engage in anything that would be a bullying situation. This is a true or false. If you guys give me a thumbs up if you think the answer is true, or down for false. Young adults or children are too young to get depressed. It must be something else that's going on. You guys think that's true or false? I think I see all false, which is the correct answer. Sometimes when I ask this question, a lot of people do kind of in between. That's okay. It's also okay if you thought the answer was true. The answer is false. Young adults can experience depression in the exact same form as a grown adult. But the reason, again, that we're talking about this is because sometimes it can be misunderstood. And actually, I think adults oftentimes are the ones that struggle the most with understanding that people at your age can have that kind of struggle going on. Sometimes it can be like, oh, they're just being a teenager, just having a bad attitude. What do young adults have to stress about, right? You don't have the same responsibilities as an adult. That is not the case. Anything that you guys stress about are very legitimate things, right? Your academics can be really stressful. Trying to balance that with your extracurricular stuff can be stressful. Your parents can be stressful. These are things that are normal things for young adults to stress about in your social life, your friends. So I always think it's also really important for us to recognize that and validate the fact that any of these feelings you're having are valid, right? And then people can absolutely experience depression as a young adult at your age. Approximately 17% of adolescents, which is ages 12 to 17, reported they had experienced a major depressive episode. That's a big statistic too. Again, not to scare any of us, it's to recognize that this is very common. Chances are, as you grow up too, and as you're in your adult life, you will absolutely have people in your life that struggle with depression. I have tons of friends that struggle with anxiety and depression because it is so incredibly common. So it's important for us to reduce the stigma and talk about these things. On your survey, it asks you to fill out, to answer like 3 signs and symptoms of what you think somebody that's depressed or suicidal might say, or characteristics about that person, something about maybe a conversation you had. What would make you think that someone is depressed, or what are the type of things maybe you equate with depression or suicide? Does anyone have any that you can share that you wrote down of the 3 signs and symptoms? It's not things that you personally experienced, but just in general, if you were to walk away thinking, I think this person's depressed, why would you think that? Isolation, that's a huge one. Someone that's just kind of keeping to themselves and isolating themselves, especially from people that they maybe usually wanted to be around, used to want to be around. Anyone have other ones? That's a great example. I'll put up the list just so we can kind of go through. There's a lot that fall under depression and suicide, but just in general, and you guys can kind of recognize whatever you wrote, if these match up with what you wrote on your surveys. Frequent sadness, tearfulness, or crying, feelings of hopelessness or worthlessness, and oftentimes people that are struggling in a very serious way will talk about this with a close friend. I feel kind of hopeless. There's no point in any of this. Those are things, worthlessness, hopelessness. Less interest or pleasure from usual activities is a huge one. If it's something where, it's just something you always loved doing before and all of a sudden you're not being involved anymore, whether it's extracurricular, whether it's school, whether it's friends, whatever that is, just not taking pleasure in things that you used to love to do. Withdrawing from friends and family, isolation, like we said, feeling more irritable or angry. Sometimes when people are struggling with things, it'll come out in a different way, right? Sometimes people can be a little angry or hostile if they're struggling with something. Excessive sleeping or lack of sleep And same with eating patterns. These are two really big ones. So a major shift in eating or sleeping patterns, and it can kind of go extreme one way or the other. Either a lack of sleep or not being able to pull yourself out of bed, or a lack of appetite or just excessively eating. That's a big sign that somebody might be struggling. And then this last one is just more towards suicide, self-harm, or suicidal thoughts or actions, talking about it, or cutting. So this is a big one. If you ever recognize that someone had been inflicting any sort of harm on them, if, for example, if you were in the classroom and you just saw on someone, it looks like they have cuts on their arms, or it looked like bruises that it seemed like they might be self-inflicted, that's a very serious situation. That would, in my recommendation in a situation like that, if you were in the classroom or something, would be in a discreet way. I wouldn't say something directly to someone unless they're a close friend of yours and you're comfortable saying something. But if you recognize on someone, I would very discreetly find an adult after class, whether it's your teacher, if you're comfortable with the teacher in that period, or finding someone on campus, and just say, I could be wrong about this, but I think I recognize this on this person. That is literally a life-saving situation. It's a very, very serious situation. It's something that you would want to speak out about. It's also not a situation where anyone has to know that you were ever the one that spoke on this person's behalf, right? It's not telling on someone. It's just saying, you know, I don't want anyone to know that I said this, but I'm concerned about this person. Okay, so if that, just throwing that out there, if that was ever something that you recognize that's a very, very serious situation, that would be something I would recommend speaking out for someone.
And Randy, if I could add, we've talked all semester that there's so many trusted adults on campus as a resource, from school counselors to the school nurse to our administrators, and as you said, trusted teachers.
Yeah,
reaching
absolutely.
out, letting them know.
For sure, absolutely. This is like, you're very fortunate that there are people on this campus, because sometimes people on these, when it asks on the bottom resources to list, some people will immediately say someone at home, right? Maybe they have a parent that they're comfortable talking to about these things. That's great. For some young adults, that is not the case. Either there's not someone that's available to them, or they're not comfortable talking to someone at home. That's okay. That is also a common thing. There are tons of people on this campus, and that's a really, really amazing and fortunate situation for you guys to be in. So recognizing who those people are, knowing who your counselors are that are here, and then finding the ones that you're comfortable talking to, but that's the most important, right? For you individually, they could be, oh, I don't really relate to this counselor, but this one I really like. Or there's a teacher here that you really like and feel comfortable with. Recognizing those people, they all want to be your trusted adults, so just identifying if there's someone here. And if there's not someone on campus, there are also other resources. So we'll talk about all the online resources and really, really make it a priority for you guys to find out or figure out who that is for you. Because like I said, for everyone it's very different. Could be someone at home, could be someone at school, could be an online resource, could be someone in an extracurricular activity like a coach or someone that you know feel comfortable with. I just want to share before I put the video on your survey, it had asked you those 3 personal questions. Just for your knowledge, because I think it's important for everyone to recognize again how common this is. I do these surveys, I go all over Yolo County, so I go to Davis, Winters, Woodland, West Sacramento, and Esparto doing these presentations. And on these 3 personal questions, question 1 where it asks if you've ever felt so sad or hopeless that you weren't getting involved in usual activities, 23% of students answered yes to that. That's a big percentage. The question 2, have you ever seriously considered harming yourself? 15% of students will answer yes to that. And then 6% answered yes to seriously considered suicide. These are, again, big statistics, and it's not to scare any of you, it's to bring awareness to this and really be aware of the fact that a lot of people struggle. So again, hopefully helping those that do struggle know they're not alone in this. Okay, so I'm gonna put on the video that I brought. This part of my presentation, I would say, is probably the the toughest part to sit through. Let me just make sure it works before I.
Very difficult.
Sounds like the sound's just coming from here, is that? So before we put this on, I just wanna give you a heads up about it. This video can be really tough to watch because you'll see like there will be different parts where it's just actors showing you different scenes of someone who's talking about depression, struggles they go through, things they might say, things their friends might say, just examples, again, of everything we've already been talking about. But the tough part of this video is there are also interviews with actual people that attempted suicide and tell their stories. And the really, I think the toughest segment is, there's also interviews with parents that lost their daughter to suicide, and friends that lost a best friend in 7th grade to suicide. And these young adults share their story, and their parents were brave enough to talk about their story too. So that part can be really tough to watch. I've seen this a million times, and it's always hard to watch that section. I don't know if we're gonna get it on there, but if we do. It's on the same, I moved it onto the same thing, so I don't know why.
If you watch it very often, it's
Suicide is one of the issues. The last president.
That's right. I don't know what's.
If we don't end up being able to watch it, I'll kind of do a
Synopsis.
Sorry,
Sorry, but.
Oh, no, it's okay. I know last,
We had this issue before.
right, but it was a different, yeah, like it's all on this same drive, so that shouldn't be
Yeah.
an issue.
Okay. I'll let you continue a little bit and I'll
Okay.
It'll hopefully kick in.
Okay. Alright, well, if we're not able to see it, then hopefully we'll be able to watch some of it, but basically what this video just shows, and I think it's a really impactful part of the presentation, is really hearing these people's stories. Like I said, they're very brave to get on camera and share stories about losing their best friend. It's pretty, that's a heavy thing to go through, and they were in 7th grade when it happened to them, so hearing these stories are really important, and like I said, very impactful. These young adults just talk about, for the most part, all of the signs that they were hearing from their friend. Their friend was saying very specific things, just telling them very directly, I am having these thoughts, I don't wanna be here anymore, very specific things about wanting to kill herself. So it was a very clear issue that this girl was obviously going through, but they were in 7th grade and they did not know how to react to this, right? Because they shouldn't know how to react to this. None of you are equipped to deal with someone that's going through something like that, right? We're not therapists. You're not expected to be able to know what to do with that. So that's why we're talking about this today, is to know that the first thing to do with that would be to find a trusted adult to just let them know what's going on and get some help. Either for her, for a friend, or hopefully, at least for yourself to start having someone to talk to, because it also is a lot for someone to go through. There are tons of therapy groups that have ended up forming around people that lost someone to suicide, because it's a horrible thing for somebody else to have to endure.
I think in our technology, they'll try to do that. Not on campus, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Not sure why. We have the same thing on this.
Yeah, it's all the same. But I don't know why it came off of there, like I just had the slideshow on here. So.
Yeah. Maybe go down. Yeah.
It shouldn't it still be up there, you know what I mean?
You would think, I just.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Sure. So is this the one?
Oh, no, it's.
It's very difficult to tell who is at risk in case of suicide.
For one more person,
If that's very
let's
often.
work around it a little bit, if we have to cut it short, we do.
Does anybody, while we're sitting here, could anybody name one of the counselors or some of the counselors that are here? Do you guys know the counselors' names? Yes. What is it? Miss Nickel? Okay, Miss Nickel, is there another counselor, does anybody know? No? Okay, can you raise your hand if you knew about Miss Nickel? Okay, that's good. Is there another counselor? Yeah, I think there are two counselors that are here. When I was growing up, our counselors were all for academics. There were no counselors that were here to check in with us, our mental health or our emotional health. Like I said, you guys are living through a fortunate time that you talk about these things, and you do have people on campus that are here specifically for that. So please know who those people are that are here on campus. Who are other people, like, can anybody else name anything that you wrote down for your resources? Who are other people maybe that we could talk to? Does anyone have any ideas? Yes. Yes, this is very, very
Oh, right
important.
over
Can
here
you raise
is
your
my
hand if you knew about the 988 hotline? Okay, I think that's mostly with everyone. 988 was created a few years ago because there were a bunch of different crisis lines that were really helpful. There was one that was specifically for Ask Teen, it was called the Ask Teen Crisis Line. We got a lot of people at the office that I worked at, or that I still work at the time, when we had the Ask Teen Crisis Line was a separate thing. We got a lot of calls from people around your age that just could call in, even if it wasn't, they didn't have to be suicidal, just to talk through any kind of struggles that they were having. They could talk to someone anonymously. It was a really, really great resource. It still exists. It just now all funnels through 988. The reason that 988 was created was because if you found yourself in a situation that was more concerning, that seemed more immediate, or an emergency situation, we do not want you to be like scrolling through your phone looking for a number, right? Or looking for a card that you had gotten when I did this presentation. 988 is easy enough for us to remember. It's like 911. 988 is just a 3-digit number that's it's specifically for anything related to suicide concerns. So it could be an emergency situation that's a life-threatening. You can call it for that, obviously, but it also could be just struggles that you're going through. Or even if it's struggles that you're recognizing in a friend. And again, maybe you're not comfortable talking to someone at home. Maybe you're not comfortable talking to somebody at school. That's okay, because there are these resources. 988 is a really, really incredible resource for that. There are people that are on the line that then will guide you immediately to what you need. Either is it somebody that you just need to talk through stuff with, then you have somebody anonymously to kind of guide you through whatever you're struggling with. But it could also be if you need resource, like somebody to come immediately to a location because there's something going on that's life-threatening or scary, then that would happen too. That's an immediate situation where you can get somebody there. Hi.
This is Miss Everly, and they all know the
We're just having trouble, it's not connecting to this.
This is here, but she had the slides on the same thing.
Well, yeah, like, no. This is projecting. Okay. Anyways, so 988 is there for anybody. There's also an option to text on 988, because sometimes people are experiencing something that they can't really verbalize if they're struggling in that way. That's also a really great option, so please know that that is there for you. as well as, like I said, the people that are here on this campus. If there's someone at home, that is wonderful to try to recognize or identify who that might be for you. Sometimes I'll see people write like my best friend's mom or dad. Some people are closer with someone else's parents that they feel that comfortable with talking about stuff like that. Or an aunt or an uncle. So really think outside of the box if it's not somebody that you can think of in your immediate family or that's here on campus. You know, like I said, there are tons of people, especially know that on campus, there are a bunch of very safe, trusted adults that are here to be that person for you. So. What time does this class end?
Yeah. So we might just be able to do one of the scenarios
Yeah.
or two in the film if we get it going,
Get
otherwise,
it, we'll get it.
all good information.
Oh, sorry, I didn't say that, my bad. Apologies.
Thank you for trying.
Okay, so.
It's odd because
So we want,
blankets,
sorry,
Show you where
I think that I can grab and drag and make it big so we don't see trinkets. And I don't know about sound, that's above my pay grade, you only get display with me.
Some of the sound was coming through the computer, I don't know.
yeah, usually it'll.
It's very difficult to tell who is at risk in a case of suicide.
Your lights
But
are-
that's
It's
very
all
often,
good.
it's the people that are least likely to get it.
Anyone can be at risk. Suicide doesn't pick and choose. You can be the class president or the class valedictorian, or the student that struggles, the student athlete, the student who's everybody's friend. You just never know.
I remember just not being able to get out of bed certain days, not having a lot of energy to go out and do things that used to make me happy, feeling like I don't belong, kind of feeling numb to the world.
Starting to have lack of interest in the things that you enjoyed the most, feeling irritable were some of the signs that we're seeing that something's just not right.
Many of the common signs of depression are things that happen every day in a student's life. Those are normal. The difference is that when someone's depressed, those are happening
Did you give her
consistently
back
over
the
time,
survey?
repeatedly, and that's when a student
What's
needs to
that?
get help.
You didn't get one?
I lost kind of my smile, kind of my laugh, just didn't feel like the same person, and would cry randomly sometimes, but didn't know what that really meant.
So often, parents and friends around the individual who's in distress write off a lot of that, excuse it to just being a teenager, just having a bad day, and they're unable to see that something's been happening
I
and
don't
changing
know what they.
over a long period of time.
Especially if the young people are under,
Hopefully we'll get
maybe
it
we're
done
looking
within
at things we think that they're just gonna brush off or think it's no big deal, sometimes are a major deal with them, and that was the situation with Julie.
I just remember getting home after playing a practice round of golf, and my dad came in and dropped a duffel bag full of alcohol on the ground and confronted me about it being in the trunk of the car, and that's when my heart dropped with it, because I knew that I disappointed my parents yet again. And I walked into my room. My mom came to knock on the door, and by that time when she knocked on the door, I was out of my 9-story bedroom window.
People who are suicidal have to understand that it is usually an indication that they are experiencing an underlying illness. That illness is usually depression, which is treatable.
Hey, screw so much for college. What are you talking about? It can't be that bad. Well, you know what? It's only a testing note. That's it. All it is. What are you doing? You don't drink like this. What's going on? It's really not that bad. You were doing so well, and you have all your extracurriculars. Look, you don't get it. Everyone in my family went to college, good colleges. They all got scholarships, and if I don't get one, then I'd be better off dead. Oh, come on, how can you say that? What are you talking about? Everybody's so proud of you. You're just like the smartest guy I know.
Exactly, which is why everyone expects me to be the best at everything I do. I'm such a loser if I don't get into a good school. Nothing else matters. I can't face everybody.
Give me a break. Give yourself a break. I would do anything to have your brains.
Whatever. I'm so tired of always trying to keep it together and be the best. I'm gonna be better off without me.
Whoa. Better off without you? Okay, we gotta talk to someone. Your mom or sister.
No. They would never understand. You have to promise me you won't tell anybody.
I promise. That's what friends are for. But I gotta go to practice, alright? I gotta go.
I'll see you later.
This is really serious. I shouldn't have promised to keep it a secret.
Whatever. Whatever, you know, I'm so tired of always trying to be the best and keep it together. That would be better off without me.
Whoa. Better off without you? Okay, we gotta talk to someone.
Like who, my mom and my dad? They never understand. Promise me you won't tell anybody like this.
No, I can't promise you that. It's not going to happen. You need to talk to someone about this. Maybe your older sister, Beth. I am. Come on, let's go. Yeah.
The specific signs of suicide are feeling that there's no way out, is that a need to escape, that they feel an intolerable psychological pain, as if their head is in a vice.
You know, the day of my suicide attempt, just going from being really happy at that moment to really sad and feeling like that was the last straw.
A person experiencing suicidal feelings is in distress, and their way of thinking is called tunnel vision, black or white thinking. Either I have this relationship or I die. Either I get into college or I die. Either I fit into this group or I die. And that feeling is overwhelmingly powerful.
Laura. Hey. What's up, sis? What's going on?
I miss Alex so much. I can't believe we're not together anymore.
Oh, please, you'll get over it. You'll find someone else.
That's easy for you to say. Things are always harder for me.
It's only been a couple of months. Just give it some time.
I just don't think I'll ever get over this. I don't fit in anyway. Alex was the only good thing in my life.
Don't talk like that. Just snap out of it.
I wish I were dead.
Believe me, you'll get over this. Just hang in there. That's not right. She's really going to need some help.
I wish I were dead. I just don't think I'll ever be able to get over this. I don't fit in anyway. Alex was the only thing good in my life.
Don't talk like that.
I wish I were dead.
Okay. It's been 2 months. You should be getting over this, but you're not. I know you've been cutting school and not doing your work. You really need some help. I don't know what to do. Maybe if you talk to mom or dad, they can help.
Are you kidding? Mom and Dad wouldn't understand.
Yeah, okay. What about Mr. Perez's school? I know he's helped a lot of kids.
I don't know.
Me and you, we'll go first thing in the morning. We'll go talk to him. He's a cool guy. He's really easy to talk to. He can help you out. He'll get you through this. Come on.
Okay. Thanks for understanding.
The two most common myths of suicide is one, if a person talks about it, they won't do it. That is not true. When a person talks about suicide, they are trying to communicate something. The other is, if you ask someone about suicide, that you will introduce it into their mind. That is also not true. It gives them an opportunity to talk about it, and then an opportunity for you to do something.
Melissa was very energetic, lots of times happy child, that really enjoyed life.
She was a bright, beautiful girl who was full of life. She had two younger siblings that looked up to her and adored her. Two loving parents. She walked into a room and she really lit up the whole room. She had an unbelievable personality. There were a lot of good things in Alyssa's life, but Alyssa also experienced a lot of hardships in the short period of time that she was here. She endured a lot for somebody so young.
When Alyssa was in 5th or 6th grade, she was raped by one of her family friends. And, you know, I think that was a definite turning point in her life. For the next few years, it was kind of a downward slope. She was bullied a lot, and she struggled with her self-esteem, and she cared a lot about what others thought, and she got down easily when people weren't nice. And I just think as time went on, she couldn't take it. It was built up year after year after year.
Kids can be mean and cruel and terrible people, and you know, maybe it was just a snowball effect that everyone just started harassing her.
There were warning signs prior to her being diagnosed with depression. She acted out. She had a lot of anger in her, to the point where it was just not normal behavior. You know, making poor decisions and choices, compromising herself and her safety, and all of these were warning signs.
She was clearly depressed and down, and she was sad a lot of crying.
I'll never forget this. When I walked into the door of her English classroom, the teacher had all the writings up on the wall, and Alyssa had the title of her paper was "My Life Makes Me Want to Cry." So those were all
I can pause it.
In 7th grade,
I can
Alyssa
pause it.
verbalized to me
I can
that she
pause it.
wanted to end her life, and
It's
would show me the
on
cuts on her wrists, and would, you know, ask me if I would attend her funeral if she did.
There we go.
I think you just have another minute until the bell rings. I just want to say something really quick before you left. Covered everything. I tried to video on it. I just want you guys, as you go throughout your day, to understand that this is a lot that you just watched first thing in the morning. I know you have to go to like math or whatever class you have after this, and there's a lot to process throughout the rest of your day. So please recognize that. If there's someone at home, please talk to them about just what you saw today. There'll be a ton of other students that are all seeing the same presentation. Talk to them at lunch or something. Anyone that you talk to about these kind of things, like I said, it's a lot to process for any of us. Whether you struggle with any of this stuff or whether you think it has nothing to do with you, it's heavy material and it is a lot to kind of sit through. So thank you for being so sensitive to all of that, and please, like I said, just recognize that you get through it. Thank you.